Hey everybody, it's Erica from In the Company of Cards. Welcome. If you're new, if you're coming back, welcome back. Appreciate you here. Would love it if you like, share, subscribe. Okay, now that that's out of the way, it's been a long day. I just uploaded my Substack article, which I ended up doing a day late. So if you got like to go over there and look at that, you can find me by going to the Substack website, or they have an app as well. It's called Substack, Substack. Lots of good writing over there. If you look for my name, Erica Robinson, you can find me there. Also, my Substack name is the same as my YouTube channel name, which is In the Company of Cards. So if you'd like to see what I wrote today, go over there. Okay, so this will be brief because, as I said, it's been a long day, but there's some issues I thought I would look at with you. First off, so I understand from my viewers that Pierre Poilievre, the conservative candidate for prime minister, did well in the debate against Mark Carney. I predicted that he would gain support from that debate. So there you go. Uh, uh, the election is the 28th. So it's what, a week from Monday. And so I'm going to take a last look at the election. I have said consistently that despite the fact that Poilievre may have gained ground in the debate, I saw that he would not win the election, Poilievre. So let's see what the cards have to say right now. And this will be my last look at this. So, which party is really what we're looking at? Which party will win the election? It's not so much that you win the prime ministership, your party wins. And then, sort of as a result, you become prime minister. So, I'm going to pull three cards for Poilievre, and I'm going to pull three cards for Carney. And if I have to pull a fourth and fifth card for each of them, I will, but you never know, I may not have to. Okay, here we go. So I'm just cutting the deck. Okay, and then I'm going to pull three cards for Poilievre. Well, you know what? Why not? Let's go all out and pull five for Poilievre and pull five for Mark Carney. Mark Carney is the liberal candidate. Poilievre is the conservative candidate. There are many people, at least in my viewership, who who say that Poilievre is the Trumpy candidate, but I've heard from Poilievre supporters who say, oh, pas du tout, c'est pas comme ça, that it's not like that, that he is not the Canadian version of Trump. So you Canadians can battle that part out, but clearly Poilievre is considered, he's the Conservative Party candidate, and Carney is the Liberal candidate. All right, so first, Poilievre, we have Crossroads, the house, the center is the man, young man. We have the garden, and we have the clouds. So that's for Poilievre. I'll read what it means once I've pulled Mark Carney's cards. So for Mark Carney, the Liberal candidate, we have, or the Liberal Party, we have the bouquet, we have the whip, we have the coffin, we have the scythe, and we have the scales. This is really interesting. Um, so let's look at Poilievre first. Crossroads, house, young man, garden, clouds. So I will say my own observation has shown me that Poilievre has had to do some real tap dancing in the past few months. I mean, just saying, he looked kind of Trumpy to me in the beginning, but then 47 did his dirt in regard to Canada. And so now Poilievre's all about, Canada for Canadians and pro Canada. And he's having to tap dance really fast to not look like he's on the Trump train. But I mean, he was on the Trump train. He has had to really sing a different tune since Trump started being so ugly towards Canada. So that's here, him having to sort of switch lanes really quick. Okay. Um, I think he feels very comfortable and at home on the political stage. I think that's what that is. I also think that the same kind of people who went for Trump in terms of young men, incel and otherwise, right? But disaffected young men, white men, are Poilievre aficionados. I mean, does that not sound reminiscent of somebody else, namely 47? This is his base. These are people who are his ride and die, ride or die. The garden is just people. I think he's comfortable in front of people, but very interesting that we have the clouds as the last card. I think people have their doubts about him. I think people think that even though he's not singing a Trumpy song right now, he sang a Trumpy song before. So, Monsieur Poilievre, which one is it? Right? Lequel chemin? Which road are you picking? I think I said that right. Lequel chemin? Uh, so this doesn't look great for him. Carney, the candidate from the Liberal Party, is bouquet, whip, coffin, scythe, and scales. Really? Okay, so the bouquet, this is an award, a reward. Could be that he wins the election. It's a hard-won battle. That's the whip. It was really hard won. It will have been really hard won. Now, coffin, I mean, no, nobody likes a coffin, right? I always say that. Nobody likes a coffin. Sometimes we do, and here I think we do. I think this is the card for transformation. I think that Canada had been going down a road that sadly we ourselves are well down. And then 47 started spouting his venom about Canada, and it changed things. It transformed what was going on in Canada to the point where, everybody's, all hands on deck to save Canada from 47. So I think that was transformative for him in the race. I think in the beginning, Poilievre did have the leg up, but I think things have completely transformed, and that the Canadians will decide, because this is the card for a decision, that the Canadians will decide in favor of equality, justice, diversity, equity, inclusion, to be American about it. I think they will decide that because I can, again, this is a hard fought race, but the decision's been made, and I can mirror this bouquet card with this. I think they will choose Carney. So, you know what? I'm just a card reader. Don't put money on what I'm saying. I'm not a bookie, I'm a card reader. However, I have consistently seen Carney as the winner. Uh, even even in those days when it looked like Waliev was gaining the edge, I have always seen Carney as the winner, and I think that the margin will be greater than it would have been had 47 not tried to come for Canada. So, uh, bon courage, mes amis, those of you who are for Carney. Okay, another thing I thought I would look at. So there's a new case. Probably there's a bunch of them, but this one caught my eye. I'm going to sneeze. Maybe since I said I was going to sneeze, I won't. Okay, I don't think I will. This man is a 20-year-old US citizen born in the USA. His name is Juan Carlos Lopez-Gomez. Now, he was driving in a car with two other people. He was not the driver, he was a passenger in the car. And the car got pulled over. This is in Florida. And it should have been pulled over because, come to find out, the driver was going like 20 miles above the speed limit, like 80 something in a 60 something zone, and also did not have a license. But that's the driver doing that. Everybody was arrested. And Lopez-Gomez, this 20-year-old passenger, is being held. And listen to why. So he goes to court, and the judge says, okay, what's up? And people produce his birth certificate. So the judge holds it up to the light and sees the watermark and all of that and says, yeah, this is a legitimate, legal US birth certificate. So what are we doing? Why are we here? And come to find out why we're here is because, let's see, the US Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office asked the jail to hold him. And so the judge was like, what? He's a US citizen, but she does not have her position does not take precedence over this customs enforcement, US Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office. So the judge was unable to release him, and he is being held at the request of essentially ICE. He's a US citizen. Now, here's the rub. So he was asked, Juan Carlos Lopez-Gomez, 20 years old. He was asked if he wanted to hire an attorney or if he wanted one appointed, legal aid type of attorney. And he was very slow to answer. Well, come to find out, it's because he was born in the United States. Good birth certificate proof. Lived here till he was 1 year old. Then went to live with an aunt, I think it was, in Mexico. But even his Spanish is not good. He speaks a Mayan language, and it does not speak English particularly. Uh, so, okay, he's an American citizen, born here, but didn't live here until 4 years ago. So he was here from the ages of 0 to 1, and then again from the ages of 16 to now 20. So his lawyer and his family are arguing that this is racial profiling of an American citizen because they don't speak English. And so they're trying to deport him. How is this not the slippery slope that I've been talking about all this time? So I guess I want to ask, he's still in Florida, as far as I know. I think he is still in Florida. The question is, will he be deported? And more to the point, if he's deported, will the decision to deport him be upheld? I think that's the question. We know, well, it's not like there's been well, there hasn't been a judicial decision to deport him. It's just the Office of Customs Enforcement and Immigration want to deport him. So I guess I just want to see, will any attempt, how about that? Will any attempt to deport him, how will the attempt to deport him go? I guess is the question. So let's just let Spirit pick all the cards. Because this is dangerous. This is that slippery slope. If you can deport undocumented people who have not had their day in court yet, their immigration day in court, can you then deport American citizens? I don't think that we will have a final status on this case for a long, long time. This will be a test case. People are saying, as I sound like 47, people are saying, but our lawyers are saying, and I've said this before myself, that the 47's legal team is quite versed in the law. Now, I mean, anybody's legal team should be versed in the law, right? That's why they're a legal team. But they really are versed in the weeds and the minutia and the fine print of the law, such that they're able to do things that nobody thought they could do. So we have the star, the dog, the whip, the key, and the moon. I think the key and the moon are the really critical cards here. And then, of course, I pulled some clarifiers. So this is the future. And this decision on this particular case, because he's an American citizen, the only thing not American about him is the fact that he doesn't speak English, but he's an American citizen. In the future, the adjudication of this case will say a lot about who this country is, who they have decided that they want to be. And the jury's still out on that. These are the lawyers, of course, and there will be good arguments on both sides. I can mirror the dog together with the key, but the center card, and I'm always saying how important the center card is. Well, this is the card for contentious argument. This is not just this one case about this one guy. Mm-mm. This is about, can you deport American citizens because they're brown and they don't speak English? But meanwhile, they have legitimate birth certificates. Okay, so I pulled cards on the key, and we have, I think is the young man in question. The book is about things we don't know, because we really don't know how this is going to turn out. And then we have this fox, and I think that the fox card is what made me say, think about the fact that these lawyers on 47's team they know the law. They know the law. And that means that they know how to twist it and turn it to say anything that they want it to say. Kind of like how people use the Bible. You can prove anything with the Bible, and you can also prove anything's opposite with the Bible. That's what they do with the law. Too clever by half. I said that this card is about sort of reputation and identity. Is this who we want to be? We're the kind of country that, for whatever reason, you're brown, you were in a car, you don't speak English, even though you have a birth certificate from the US, that we can just toss you. Is that who we want to be? The jury's out. Listen, I wrote this in my Substack. I couldn't believe it, but apparently it's true. Trump's approval rating is going down. That's the good news. You know what the bad news is? It's still at 47%. What? After everything, as I wrote in my Substack, after everything. So, you know, the country is split. Just like Poilievre in Canada can't figure out what his stance should be. The country is split on who they want to be. Do we want to be these racist, deportation crazy assholes? Pardon my French, YouTube. Or I have French viewers. That was not French. Pardon my bad language. Um, or are we better than that? Birds, this will be a topic of discussion for a long, long time. And speaking of a long, long time, far into the future, I can mirror these two cards. I think this will be the real test case, even more than Brego Garcia. I think this will be the test case because he's an American citizen, Juan Carlos Lopez-Gomez. He's an American. So we'll see. Jury's out. Jury's out so far on this. It's just, he only got arrested, I think, like the other day. But 47's lawyers will twist the law into a pretzel to make a case why he should be legitimately deported. Okay. So that was interesting. All right. Speaking of cases, I want to look at two more issues. One is the fact that the Supreme Court is going, this is a related issue actually, is going to be hearing arguments soon, next month, I think, on birthright citizenship. Now, we know that what 47 wants is for there to be no birthright citizenship. What is birthright citizenship? This is not what we're talking about when we talk about Juan Carlos Lopez Gomez's case. He is a citizen by virtue of having taken his first breath in life on US soil. Okay. Birthright citizenship is not that. Birthright citizenship, well, it is kind of that, says that if your parents were not born here and then you were, well, it is a birthright. It's the same literal thing. It's the same thing. What's wrong with me? I told you it was a long day. It is the same thing, a birthright citizenship. In other words, you're born here of parents who are undocumented. You are, by virtue of having been born here through birthright citizenship, a citizen of the United States. 47 says, nah, son. If your parents are undocumented and you happen to then be born here, all you all are now undocumented. So all you all have to go back where you came from. That's his stance. And this will be the argument that the Supreme Court takes up. Now, birthright citizenship, by the way, came into being during the time after slavery. It was during Reconstruction, because the theory was, or the proposition was that Black people who came here from Africa, as my mother's people did, were not citizens. Of course, they were not citizens because they were slaves, 3/5 of a person, whatever. So Are their descendants really Americans? How slippery exactly is this slope? I'm sure that what 47 would love to do is what would have been fine with Abraham Lincoln, by the way, because Lincoln was all for having us go to, I don't know, Liberia or somewhere else in Africa. Just go, go away so this problem doesn't exist. I'm sure 47 would love that too. And he would say, yeah, birthright citizenship. So Black people whose forebears, whose ancestors were slaves, those slaves were not citizens. Therefore, what the hell are you doing here? I mean, that's how slippery the slope could get. So the Supreme Court is going to take this case up. It has been previously thought that, I mean, why in the world would this even become a thing? Of course, if you're born here, duh, you're a citizen. But apparently, you know, we are living in the upside down. So I would like to know, what will the court decide on the issue of birthright citizenship? Will people who are born here still have citizenship, even if their parents are undocumented? Because that's the issue. Okay, so I think we'll use the birds for the court because there will be a lot of conversation about this among the people who present to the court. And then, of course, the court itself will be discussing this amongst themselves. Uh, no, let's not use the birds. Let's use the letter. That's our kind of catch-all card, right? What decision, because it'll be a written decision, what decision will the court render on birthright citizenship? And this is all Project 2025 stuff. They want an all-white America where the women are perennially pregnant or else constantly cooking. How's that for alliteration? Uh, and if other people are here, they're in positions of servitude. Like, again, slavery. So let's look. We're looking for the letter, and that will be the decision that the Supreme Court takes on the issue of birthright citizenship. Okay, so this will stand for the court's decision on birthright citizenship. I'm going to pull some clarifiers. Okay, so we have again the coffin, again the moon. Here's the decision. We have again the bouquet, and then we have fish. Fish. So, again, this can be endings. This can also be transformation. So the question that I have to figure out is, or answer is, which one is this? Now, I'm not really loving the fact that the card that I can mirror it with is fish. because it does make me worry about how much money will bring to bear on the court's decision. And isn't that a terrible thing to say? But we know that there are justices on the court who've been bought. Alito and Thomas, probably Kavanaugh, and John Roberts, I don't know, entertainment purposes only, YouTube. So I feel like this is money. But the thing I'm telling myself is to keep in mind the other definition of this card, which is um, emotion. This is an emotionally charged decision. I can mirror the moon, which is our reputation and our self-image, with the bouquet. And this gives me some hope and makes me think that the court in the end, probably by, I don't think it'll be unanimous, will say, okay, you know, birthright citizenship's been a thing always, so let's keep it a thing. Like, why would we take this gift away from people? It's what makes America great. But let's look at clarifiers. So again, this is the coffin, and I really have to figure out, are we talking about endings or are we talking about transformation? I think Amy Coney Barrett holds the key to the way that this decision will go. And I think she is conflicted. Isn't that interesting? We have the moon, which is again reputation and image, self-image. And clarifiers are the mountain, the scythe, and the star. It just feels like because they know how important this decision is, they will delay, delay, delay. So they may hear it in May and we might not get a decision till God knows when. Delay, delay, delay. Because this decision sets the course for our future. If we don't have birthright citizenship, I mean, international viewers, if there's a place you think I should move to, let me know, because it might be time. Letter, this is the decision. Clover, ship, crossroads. This line makes me think that they will keep it. So I've seen twice card combinations that make me think that birthright citizenship will be left intact. I think the decision will be a happy one. Remember, I'm the one reading the cards. So Spirit is saying, let me give her cards to read that she will understand. For me, this would be a lucky, happy thing if birthright citizenship continued the way that it's been continuing, and that's the choice we make. Um, Remember that this is the card for decisions. This is the card for choice. From many decisions, one choice is made. So I think this is just saying that it will be a split decision. That doesn't surprise me. Okay, the bouquet, thrilled to see this here. Clarifiers are the dog, which is a great card, the tree, and the tower. I think these are good too. The dog is the card for attorneys, and just like 47 has attorneys, so do we. This decision, I think, will take a long time, longer than it should. But I think the decision will be made to, how can I put this? To uphold the republic. If you all of a sudden say anybody whose parents were not from here, uh, you all aren't you all who are their children, you're not citizens either. I mean, what would that do? So I think they're going to vote to keep it. Then we have fish, and I'm going to amend my initial thought, which is like, is this money? Because again, we know that there are justices who are compromised, entertainment purposes only. Clarifiers are the house, the young man, and the scales. So I think this is emotion about, what do we consider home and whom do we consider our sister and brother citizens, right? Um, I think this is just sort of young people and thinking about the future. And this is diversity, equity, and inclusion, despite the fact that it has been, you know, flipped on its head or gotten rid of or whatever. Now, I will say I can mirror first card, our friend the coffin, with the scale. And I'm going to be optimistic and say we are going to make the choice, or the court will make the choice to say we're not messing with birthright citizenship. I do think the vote will be close. I mean, we can already tell who will vote what way. And I think Amy Coney Barrett will need to be schmoozed by her sister justices to see the merit of keeping birthright citizenship, because she could probably see her way to make a case for the opposite. And I think that they will, take her to lunch a few times or something, whatever, whatever the equivalent of what the women on the court do to golf. They'll try to sort of rope her in to a decision that is in favor of that. And I think that Roberts, I'm not a fan, but I cannot see him getting rid of birthright citizenship. Does he want to be the court that goes down in history as having gotten rid of that? The other men, they are who they are. So, okay, this is the last one. This has gone a little longer than I thought it would, but that's okay. Time is it? Okay. So, about my alma mater, in addition to losing all of that money that will now be withheld from them for not kissing the ring, the government is upping the ante in a big, 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 huge, enormous way. I mean, I can't even tell you how big this is, by saying that they are trying to get the certification that Harvard has, which allows them to host foreign students, to have foreign students come and live and work and study. They want to revoke that certification. Now, it cannot be done unilaterally. I think it requires an act of Congress. But uh, will 47 succeed in taking away Harvard's ability to host foreign students? And when we think of the grad student population and how many people want to come from overseas to study at the oldest university in the country, I mean, that would really hurt. But how I'm always quoting this play. I'm always quoting Arthur Miller's play called The Crucible. And he wrote it in the 50s to talk about the play it takes place in 1692 Salem, Massachusetts, which if you don't know, it's where there were witch trials and I think something like 19 people were hanged. And by the way, hanged is the right word. Curtains are hung, people are hanged. Okay. And there was a guy who was not hanged. They were quite ingenious in the way that they dispatched with him. So he was a very old guy, and his name was Giles Corey. And Giles Corey was a litigious guy, meaning that he loved suing his neighbors. And, he was old as well. He was 83 at the time of these events. He's a real guy, a historical figure. And so he was accused of being a witch. Now, a lot of these accusations were lodged against women, for example, who were widowed and poor and didn't have men to stand up for them, or they were about property disputes, right? So, in other words, the accused had land that the accusers wanted. If someone was accused and convicted of being a witch and then, of course, executed, their land would not, by law, go to their descendants. Instead, their land would go up for sale. So the accusers who had the money to do it would buy up their land. So a lot of it was a land grab. Anyway, Giles Corey was quite the curmudgeon, bad-tempered guy. But he is one of the most heroic characters in literature and life because they decided, well, what they wanted you to do was to confess, kind of like kiss the ring. They wanted you to confess that you were a witch. But people often didn't. But sometimes they did because they wanted to live longer or they, whatever. Anyway, he was not going to do it. So they decided that they would torture him. And the way that they tortured him was they laid him down on the floor, on the ground, and they took big, huge rocks, boulders kind of, that were flat. And they put one on his chest. And they said, "So now, old man, how do you plead, guilty or not guilty?" And he didn't say anything, and they put another one on, and they asked him again, and he answered them. You know what he said? He said two words. He said, "More weight." And they essentially crushed him to death. You know what? It brings me to tears. This is from 1692, and I'm crying about it. Go figure, right? Uh, So I say that to say, read the play. If you didn't read it in high school, read the play. It's called The Crucible. A crucible is a pot, and it's used, you put, it's very, very, very hot, and you use it to refine metal, to refine like ore. So it's a refining fire. It's a purifying fire. It's, you know, um, and it's also in the vernacular, common vernacular now. It's used to mean an experience. A crucible is like an experience that's really tough, like really, really painful and tough. And it will either kill you or be the making of you. You could argue that Giles Corey was in a crucible, and it was both the killing and the making of him. So I bring it up because Harvard is now in this position. If they lose the funding, okay, that's one thing. If they lose their ability to host foreign students, the ante has really been upped. And I want to know, are they going to say, "Give me that ring so I can kiss it"? Or are they going to do like Giles Corey and say, "More weight"? So let's look. That story gets me every time. You know, a lot of people who do this work, I've told you this, are leaving the platform, going sort of underground because they're scared. I want to do this work as long as I'm able to do this work. And if they come for me, which I don't think anybody was going to come for me, they'll come for Rachel and Joy before they come for me. I hope that I am made of the same cloth as Giles Corey. And I hope if they throw me in some Salvadoran jail that I would be brave enough to say, more weight. Okay, what is Harvard going to say? What is Harvard's response going to be? We'll use that tower card, and by the way, as a result of Harvard's bravery, lots of universities, I don't know if you saw this on Rachel Maddow, but lots of universities are banding together. Remember, I said this in the beginning. Why didn't the Ivy League all band together? But look how smart Trump's lawyers were. They didn't go for the whole Ivy League, right? They picked off Columbia and everybody else watched and they saw what happened to Columbia. And then they had to make a strategic assessment like, uh-oh, what do we want to do? Are we going to be picked off too? Harvard was brave and said more weight. That's what they've said so far, to the point where other universities and colleges have now banded together in sort of consortia, and they've said, if he comes for one of us, he's come for all of us, and we will all back each other up. So, I mean, that's thrilling. That's a bit of good news. So let's see whether Harvard will say more weight or hand me that ring so I can kiss it. And I'm going to use the tower for Harvard. Okay. Please like, share the video. You know, um, the channel, I mean, the channel will be a year old on the 1st of August. It would be amazing to get to 50,000 in my first year. So please do like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. It's free. That it would mean the world to me. Anyway, this is Harvard. Let me put that down again. And those two cards there. Okay, and I'm going to draw some clarifiers. Yeah, I didn't draw clarifiers on everything, but anyway, our cards are the ring, the letter, Harvard, the book, and the stork. So I can say some things, and I drew cards again, not on everything, but on some of them. This is the commitment to their decision. I can mirror it. So well, I can mirror it with the last card, the stork. Love that. Positive change. Positive change has already happened with these other schools creating these consortia. It's great. Okay, the second card is the letter. So this would be, the letter that they got saying, we're going to snatch your certificate or your certification. This is the certification. The card I can mirror it with is the book. I mean, really, would the government do this? I don't know. Will Harvard, whatever? I mean, this is still up in the air. Okay, so I pulled cards on Harvard. We have the young woman, we have the clouds, and we have the young man. So this is Harvard. These are foreign students. caught in the middle here, saying to themselves, well, I mean, do I then accept an offer from Harvard if I'm not going to be able to go? How can I accept an offer? Undergrad and graduate. Like, what do I do? So this speaks more to the fact that there's confusion amongst this particular population of accepted students. We have the book, and remember, the book is about things we don't know. There's secrets or just things that are just not known yet. Clarifiers are the clover, bear, and the mountain. So I think that happily, 47 will be blocked from doing this. Remember, I said that it takes a congressional vote to decertify this ability. So it looks like the narcissist in chief, entertainment purposes only, will be blocked. And then again, to make that case that this is will have a good outcome for Harvard, so long as they stick to their guns. Stork, positive change, stars, the future. We have the woman, and we have the heart. I think this is yin energy showing that if you just sort of passive resistance is everything. If you just say no, 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 you can threaten me with anything, and the answer is still no. That's passive resistance. Love it. And I can mirror that heart, which is the last card in the line, with our very first card. This is Harvard's commitment. And I think that uh, really, I mean, it's obviously a famous, famous educational institution, but they are really winning friends and supporters and allies by their stance. So I think that they will do the passive resistance route and say, more weight. You know, if he kills them, they'll come back. They'll come back. Um, I'm thrilled to report that they will be Giles Corey, but hopefully without the crushed sternum. Uh, you know, some things are worth are worth fighting for, whatever the cost. So, all right, that's that for today, and I'll see you soon. Okay, take care.